Good morning. My name is Nick Claich. I'm the Division Chief in charge of hazmat operations for our Regional Hazardous Material Response Team located in Washoe County. Today, this video is going to be an overview of the 2024 Emergency Response Guidebook app. Each response vehicle in Washoe County should have one of these small orange hardback versions in the vehicle to assist you with responses. But the app specifically has some unique features that will assist emergency responders. Specifically, the topics we're going to go over today are identifying evacuation or control zones and how we would overlay those over a map that we're more familiar with, and more importantly, how to communicate that with the other agencies or responders that we're going to be working with. If this training is assigned to you as part of your OSHA requirements for your annual training, it will say that in the video description when it's assigned to you to comply with federal standards. So right now we are looking at the Emergency Response Guidebook app opened. You can see on the left-hand side we have a couple of search features, and specifically the first one that we're going to go to just to get familiar with the app is search by UN or name. So if we hit this button here, it pulls this up. Let's say that I'm looking at a tanker on the road and its placard says 1203. I'm going to type that in here and I'm going to press here. It pulls up the guidebook for 128, which is for gasoline. So now I'd be able to go down through here, and most of you are pretty familiar with how this book works, but we would get all the information that we would need out of that specific number. So another cool feature of this as we back out is that the tab below it says search by image. And so if we were arriving on a scene, we could go through the different classifications of placards, and then as you will see with each box there is a black circle with a number. That's going to take you to the appropriate guide page based on the classifications. So if we scroll down through here, I think it's pretty self-explanatory that you would be able to identify what type of placard it is and then go to the guide page to get some information. The neat part about this app is if you look at the top of the screen, there are actually 3 separate tabs here, and I'm going to go to the one on the far right, which is road trailers. So if I was arriving on an incident and I wasn't sure what type of product this vehicle is carrying, I could look at the characteristics of the trailer and I could try to match it with one of these diagrams here, which is pretty accurate, and now I would know what type of product this vehicle is carrying and then make the appropriate decisions from there. If we go to the center tab on this is rail cars. So this goes through the specific rail car classifications, and to assist you with this, each responder in Washoe County will be completing the Railroad 101 course from Union Pacific. It is an online course and it really goes in depth with helping first responders identify the first steps here. But you will see that as we scroll through this page, we have several different types of rail cars here and what type of things they carry. The rail car that we are going to use for our simulation today is in the top left, and it is a pressure tank car. The unique things about pressure tank cars is if we're looking at them from a distance, typically their characteristics have a very large protective dome on top, and that's to protect the valving assemblies. And these carry flammable or non-flammable products. They carry toxic and or liquefied compressed gases. So these are under high pressure, anywhere from 375 psi, and they normally have no bottom outlet valve. So when we look at these cars, they are pretty characteristic with those identifiers. So let's back out of this right now, and the simulation that we are going to go to today, it might be a little far-fetched, but you will see how we are going to use this application to run a scenario in a video format. So us as first responders, we are responding to a train versus vehicle incident. The dispatch information states that a train was traveling eastbound, so it's coming from the west, traveling eastbound into Reno, and it impacted a cement truck at the 4th Street crossing, which is over there by White Fir Drive. So we arrive on scene, and again, we're going to probably leave out a lot of the incident specifics of everything that we would do on scene, but let's just pretend that we are in charge of identifying what this product is and what we are going to do. So for all intensive purposes, all the drivers of the vehicle and the train, they're all up in a safe area. We're not worried about that. So the simulation is going to be that a tanker or a tank car, a high pressure car, has been knocked off the rails and it has rolled away from the tracks and it is actively leaking. So we look and we can see the placard there and the vehicle markings. It's a green diamond that says 1005 and the rail car actually says anhydrous ammonia on it. So we can see that it is actively leaking vapor. I'm going to show you a little video clip here of what anhydrous ammonia looks like when it is leaking into an open air space. But now that we have that information from a distance, let's say that we're using binoculars and we're looking at this rail car, we're going to use the app. So we go back to the app and we search by enter name. So we're going to go here. We're going to type in either anhydrous ammonia or 1005, and you can see that I have it in my search history here. I'm going to pull it up. The two things with this particular product is it's going to ask, is it on fire or is it not? So since it's not on fire, I'm going to focus my attention on the right side of the screen because we're trying to figure out with this leaking container, how are we going to evacuate the area? So you will see as I scroll down on this side, the transport container is highlighted. It is a rail car. So it says first isolate in all directions, 1,000 feet. But then it also gives down here during the day, it talks about the different distances depending on wind. So you can see if there's no or low wind, it wants us to evacuate 1 mile, and that number decreases by the wind activity. So let's say moderate, it wants us to evacuate 0.8 miles around this crash site. Well, that's going to be really difficult for me to figure out or convey to law enforcement or other responding officers just based on my location. So the very top of the screen, you're going to see it's going to be an orange label that says map. So we're going to press on map, and now it wants us to add in the different information. So spill location here, if I touch this, it wants to know what either use my current location or type in an address. But remember, I'm away from the scene. I'm not where the rail car is currently leaking. I'm up the street on Mesa Verde, let's say, and I'm looking with binoculars. So using your phone, what you can do here is I'm going to open up a separate tab here in Maps, and we're going to say that I'm going to drop a pin on White Fir Drive right where this rail car is located. So we're going to say that the track you can see is right above it running east to west, and that is now where the rail car is approximately laying. So you can see on the left-hand side of the screen, the address is 7854 White Fir Drive. So what we would do is take that information, reopen the app, and then we're going to enter it in the location tab. All right, so now we're going to go to the spill location tab, and we are going to enter the address. You can see that I already have it from my search history, 7854 White Fir Street. So when I plot it here, the next tab down is going to be wind direction. So I'm going to put in the wind coming from the west, and then I'm going to use the blue arrow to go back and add more information. So I touch the blue arrow again. Is the material on fire? I'm going to say no. So it's automatically plotting it right now. If you look over to the right, it's plotting the spill details large, and it's plotting it at night, which would be the worst case scenario because that's the lowest wind. So you'll see on the right-hand side of my screen, I'm going to touch daytime here, and that actually changes it. Here's what I would recommend that you do is if you look at the icon bar next to our pin that was dropped, it says large spill at daytime, initial isolation 1,000 feet, downwind 2.6. In the very top left of my screen, you will see where it says UN 1005. I can touch that to go back to my information page, and on the right hand side where we have our downwind protection zone, I'm going to touch railcar again, and we're in the top box here. I'm just double checking my information. It does say railcar, first isolate in all directions 1,000 feet. It's showing a low wind day of an evacuation of 1 mile during the daytime. So now right above it, I can see the map icon. I'm going to touch it again. So everything looks correct. So now we have this information that we can use. The cool part about this is that if I go up to the bullseye symbol in the top, I can change the satellite view. So I can now hit satellite here if I want to see homes or businesses. I like the hybrid view because now that we are in the hybrid mode, I can see large streets, but I can also see residential areas. So if I was communicating with law enforcement, the 1,000 feet zone right here, I could easily screenshot this and text it to a law enforcement representative and start coordinating evacuations with them. I will tell you from personal experience that if we are running an incident with operations on one frequency, we would most likely want to put evacuations on a second public safety frequency so that when we're conveying information to them, it's not affecting too many people talking on one channel. But you can see right here, we have an initial area, and this is the initial actions that we want to take. 1,000 feet, this gives us a lot of information to work with to get people out of the area. Now, the spill, again, it's plotting it for low wind. Maybe the wind is a little bit higher, and we have resources that are over off in the middle of our section here. Let's say that they're off of West 4th Street and up near this Bluffs Court area, and they're reporting that there is no odor there, there's no vapor. Maybe we have someone there with meters and they're wearing all the right PPE and they're stating that there's no issue here. Maybe we just issue a shelter in place for these people. We don't evacuate them because if we can do a shelter in place and turn off air conditioners, close windows, even if the cloud shifts, sometimes those people can be protected with little intervention. So we're not going over the specifics of that in this class. This is just for you to be able to utilize this and go forward. So let's say that the spill is small. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back to my bullseye tab on the top right. I'm going to click that. It's going to pull up spill details in the middle. And now I'm going to switch over to the top one is a small spill. And now we can see that it's much easier for us to manage here. So the app is really interesting as far as the different features that it has. And we could change the incident to not be a rail car, but it could also be a cylinder or it could be a road tanker. So I would encourage you to use the app and go through it and plot different scenarios within your area where you are and just kind of get an idea of how you might run it in real life. So one important thing to note when responding to railroad emergencies is early notification to the RRMC or the Railroad Emergency Dispatch Center. So the number's up on your screen, and this will be covered more in the Railroad 101 course. But essentially what we're going to do is we're going to connect an individual who is on scene in the command post with a response representative from the railroad. Now, this is their hazmat manager that might be coming out of Salt Lake City or Rockland, California, but we can start providing them information of what we are seeing on scene, what the rail cars are doing or what they're not doing, and they can start to assist us with guidance and developing a plan. Ideally, this could be a hazmat person or a branch manager, but don't delay if those people are not on scene. Start to notify them and give them information. So right now we're looking at an aerial footage. Tell them we have cars that are currently on fire or they're not on fire, but they're leaking into a river. If we can obtain the manifest and compare what we are seeing as far as the orientation of the cars, have they changed where now we have a car that's loaded with lumber on fire next to a pressure car. That could create a significant risk for us on scene, so it's important that we communicate that, and then they will start to give us guidance and more resources to help solve this problem. Some of the things you're going to see here, this is an incident that is well involved, but you can see where multiple cars were actually impacted by fire, and now some of them have released their contents. Others are still smoking or actively releasing their contents. So it's important for us to try to identify this so that we are not placing ourselves in harm, or we are not incorrectly identifying the threat that is downwind. These people, again, will be able to order resources and get them coming to us soon, but they might also be connecting us with the shippers, depending on the severity of the accident. Obviously, the video showing here is a major incident, but if it's something smaller, we want to establish that early and develop that communication from the scene. That concludes this video regarding the Emergency Response Guidebook app. Please reach out with any questions you have, and I thank you for your time. Have a great day.